Hey, welcome to day 2 of your mini practices. And today we are going to take a closer look at the feet. The feet can get kind of ignored, a little bit neglected, and yet they're such a vital part of our bodies, carry us around all day long and influence all up the chain. So it's just a great starting point. Get good and grounded. So for this practice, we'll just need a ball, like a tennis ball or something. And if you don't have this, then you could kind of tightly ball up a pair of socks or something. And it's just for an awareness of the ankle joint. So for this, it doesn't really matter the firmness of it, really. Okay. And then another piece, when looking at the feet, we're first just going to give a little love and attention to our feet. And I find this to be a lot. It just goes easier and feels better if I put on some lotion on my hands and maybe even just wash my feet. Feels really good at night before bed after I've taken a shower. So if you want, feel free to pause the video, go wash your feet quickly in the bathtub, or just put some lotion on your hands, whatever you want. And then we will come and pay attention to our feet. So I'm crossing my left ankle over my right thigh, just comfortably seated in a chair. And then you'll interlace your fingers between each toe. And if you can't do all toes at the same time, you can do a few and then move on. But, ideally we want to be able to try to get the fingers really right down into the base of the toe, the webbing of the toe, and just kind of sit with that for a moment. This can be quite sensational. And lots of stuff going on, waking up these nerve endings at the soles of our feet in between our toes, and our feet are quite sensitive develop that sensitivity to really be able to walk well in uneven ground. And it gets dulled from wearing tight shoes. So we're just kind of waking that up. And then you can do a little more by squeezing your fingers together. And as you squeeze your fingers together, feel that intensity. And this just allows us to be a lot more aware of our feet when we come and stand on them. So it's beneficial, even though it can be quite sensational. And then try to pull your fingers apart from each other. So you're spreading your toes apart with your hands, with your hand strength. And then from here, we'll pull the toes back towards the top of the foot. So you just feel a stretch on the bottom of the foot. And just checking to see how much flexibility you have. And it can be interesting side to side. And then pulling the toes towards the sole of your foot, opening up the top of the foot, the flexors. But we're pulling this into flexion. And then the foot can rotate a bit. So from here, my ankle bone's up and over, and I'm turning the sole of my foot to look a little bit up to the ceiling. And just seeing that rotational capacity, and then turning the sole of my foot a little bit towards the floor. So you can see, not huge, but it's an important piece of foot mobility. Good. And then any sort of loving touch, massage on your arch, a little gentle squeeze. Okay, and then we'll release and just take a moment to feel your 2 feet flat on the floor, and maybe they feel a little different, one compared to the other. And then we'll bounce that out, paying attention to the right foot now. As I dust my foot off. Okay, interlacing your fingers, and then just take a moment to kind of get used to that sensation. Can be, again, pretty intense. And you're just using your nervous system, taking some slower breaths. And then you can start to squeeze your fingers together to kick it up a notch, a little more intense. And then spread your fingers apart. And get a little stretch in there. And then pull the toes back. And then pull the toes down towards the bottom of your foot. Stretching the top of the foot. And then that rotation, turning the sole of your foot towards the ceiling and the sole of your foot down towards the floor. And then maybe kind of grooving that, doing that a couple more times. And then any sort of loving touch, a little massage on the bottom of your foot, wiggling your fingers, squeezing them one more time. and spreading them apart. Just kind of giving a little love here to your right foot now. And then we'll keep the right ankle crossed over and release the interlace. And then from here, you'll just pull your big toe up and then pull your little toes down. So the big toes trying to pull up, little toes down. So they're working in opposites. And then can you keep that while you let go? And then switch it. Pull the big toe down and the little toes up. And you just see, can you keep it? So we're trying to get used to that switching pattern. Maybe you can do it a little bit in the air. And then we'll do the other foot. And a lot of times, you know, I've taught this in class, in some of the live classes, and it can be really hard. So pulling them apart and then letting go, seeing if you can hold it. So this would be a great way to just groove that pattern and be able to find it using your hand support. And then you just see if you can go back and forth a couple times. And here you have your hands to help you as much as you need. And I'm just going to scoot back so you can see my feet. Now we'll do that a few times with your feet on the floor. So you're spreading your toes, lengthening your toes, and setting them down on the floor. And then just see if you can lift just your big toes 3 times. And then keep your big toes down and lift just your little toes 3 times. And you're doing your best to not move the ankle. The ankle's going to want to help. And we're trying to make this a toe movement. And the pinky toes included. Oops. And then lifting all 10 toes and just putting the big toes down 3 times. And then keeping the big toes up. And to me, it's more like a little bit of a piano action through the 4 little toes on each side while keeping the big toes lifted. So this would be easiest using your hands to help you. This gets a little harder doing it on the floor, and then even harder standing up. So if you do this video again, maybe you'll try doing it standing up. Okay, so from here we'll move the chair out of the way, and then we'll just continue with a little bit of playful movement of our feet. So from here, we'll pick up the toes, spread them out, and lengthen them long. And just feel a sense of stability here. And then let's check in with the ankles. So you'll rock towards the outer edges of your feet and then the inner edges of your feet. And you're staying stable through your torso, tall through the crown of your head, keeping your knees and your hips pretty stable or still looking straight forward and just letting this be an ankle movement. And then we'll add in some balance challenge. So feel free to take one hand to the wall, rock to the pinky toe side of your foot, and then lift up, roll to the big toe side of your foot, and come down. And then stay on the big toe side of your foot and lift up, rock to the pinky toe, and come down. We're staying pain-free, and just go at your pace a few more times. Up on the pinky toe, down on the big toe, and then reversing. So these are kind of like rainbow arches. I'm doing my best to maintain my balance and to be in control going slow. So use a wall as you need, but also it's good. It's good to work on balance. Okay, last one here. And then we'll release. And then let's groove out a little bit of side-to-side action. So from here, hip points stay looking straight forward, and you'll just bend your knees and tip them to the left. And then come back to center, bend your knees and tip them to the right. And let's go a few times side to side. So you're grooving out that path, keeping your hips stable. The floor of your pelvis is level with the floor itself. And just seeing if you can find a little range of motion, keeping your big toes firm on the mat, your toes long the whole time. And then let's take it into our figure 8 pattern. So the next time you take your knees over to the left, stay with the knees bent, come through center, and then straighten. And then take your knees to the right, come through center, and straighten. And let's go just 1 or 2 more of those. And it just starts to become a little bit more familiar, and maybe you start to get a little more range of motion as we work there. Okay, from here I just want to play with full range of motion of the foot. So again, feel free to have a hand on the wall. You'll come up to your right toes. And again, this is pain-free. If you have arthritis in some of your toe joints, this might be too much. You can skip this part of it. And then potentially roll onto the top of your foot and get a stretch on the top of the foot. and then come back and plant the heel. And doing that just a couple times, coming up on the toes, rolling over your toes, stretching the top of the foot, and then back and down. And maybe one more here on your first foot, and then we'll switch and do the second foot. So you're coming up on the toes and rolling over, stretching the top of your foot, and then back and down. And doing that 2 more times. And back and down. And one more time. And back and down. Good. Okay, let's do just a little strengthening. And the ball here is just is like a place hold, so that there's a tendency to lean towards the pinky toe edge of the foot potentially. So from here, you'll take the ball between your feet right under the ankle bone at the inner heel here, and then we'll lean against the wall. So I come, lean against the wall, your feet are about a foot or foot and a half away from the wall, and then you put that ball there, and it just kind of keeps us honest. Again, it could be balled up socks even, and you could skip it if you don't have something handy right now. And then spread the toes, lift, spread the toes, and stretch them out long. And then from here, you start to come into a bit of a chair pose at the wall. And just feel long along your spine. You could have your sacrum, rib cage, and the back of your head at the wall. And then the knees are maybe a little narrower than hip distance, just depending on the spacer, right, that you're holding between your heels. And then keep the weight a little bit more into the ball of the big toe, and you'll keep squeezing the ball and lift your heels up. And then slow motion set your heels down. So you can make this harder by sitting lower, your feet further from the wall. You could make this easier by having your feet, we're lifting and lowering a couple times, but you could make this easier by having your feet closer to the wall or sliding a little higher up the wall. Okay, so choose your fun, choose your adventure. And we're lifting and lowering a couple times, and this is just great for strengthening the foot and then strengthening the deep calf, the soleus. And so all good key components to lower body health, lower leg, ankle, feet. Good. Ball the big toe heavy. Are you feeling warming sensation yet? Maybe 1 or 2 more. Good. Okay. And then let's stand up, and you can let the ball drop or take it out and off to the side. And yeah, this is a lot of fun for the feet, huh? So let's explore the feet just a little bit more. And we're going to come into a very short lunge. We haven't done a lot, so just keep this comfortable for you. Let's take the left foot forward, right foot back. Short stride, bend your right knee, and lengthen your tailbone towards the floor. And for now, we're just going to reach the arms forward and broaden the back rib cage. And then see if you can firm your right buttocks, feel some length at the front of the hip. Good. Okay, from here, take your hands in front of your heart and tip forward and shift your weight into the left foot. I'm going to even shorten my stride a little bit. And then just play with, can you lift your left heel and set it down? Lift your left heel and set it down. And just doing a couple more of those, you could have your hands on the back of a chair or against the wall if you're needing a little help with that balance. Good. Okay, and then we'll back off and step forward and stand in Tadasana. And just take a moment to feel your 2 feet flat, toes spread out and long, and being aware of the floor beneath you, and just maybe appreciating that, maybe just feel it a lot with a lot more clarity than, especially when you have shoes on. Okay, let's take a short lunge, stepping the left foot back, and the arms reach forward. Bend your left knee, lengthen your tailbone towards the floor, and let's just get a little left hip strength. Stretch on the front of your left hip, and then engaging at the shoulders by reaching forward. So that's our serratus anterior. So just feeling a nice wide back body and smooth breathing. And then we'll take the hands in front of the heart, namaste. Tip forward, so we're tipping from the pelvis, nice long spine still. And then maybe you're shortening your stride a little bit, or just shift your weight into your right foot. So we've got most of the weight in the right foot, left foot is a kickstand. And then see, can you lift the right heel and set it down? lift the right heel and set it down. And just going a couple rounds here and seeing how we wake up that lower chain, the foot strength, calf strength, and now we're involving even the glutes, the outer hips here. Okay, maybe one more. Good, and then let's come and stand again in Tadasana, feeling your feet on the earth, and let your gaze be soft or even closed, and take just a couple rounds of breath. All right. Hands in front of your heart. Thank you so much. Happy day 2. If you have a little more time to play, see how some standing poses feel. Maybe tree pose work, and notice how the balance work feels. And then otherwise, good job. Just enjoy your feet the rest of your day here. All right, thank you.